What's up, Cameron and Daniel? How y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing
Doing good,
well.
living the dream, living the dream. How you doing over there, Bradford?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm down here in Mexico and creating some business relationships for international investors.
For sure, for
But
sure.
I'm excited to
Oh,
be on this call. Appreciate it.
yeah, for sure. Well, I just want to go ahead and welcome everybody. This is the Page Properties Small Talk. Again, we have a special guest, Cameron Watson and Daniel Lariscy with the Watson and Mortgage Team. We're going to go ahead and learn so much about their journeys. What are they doing different here in 2025? And also, what exclusive package and programs that they have for buyers out here. So, Cameron and Daniel, can you share a little bit about your journey into the mortgage industry and how has the Lariscy Watson Mortgage Team came to be?
Yeah. So for me, I've been in the mortgage business almost 19 years now. I kind of got into it by accident. I didn't know what I wanted to do after graduation, after graduating college. I got a really good opportunity in mortgage, and this was supposed to be my till I figure out what I want to do with my life job. And it turns out this is what I want to do with my life.
For sure. For sure. What
Yeah.
about you, Dan?
So Cameron drugged me into it about 4 years ago. I'd spent about 17 years in retail management sector, home improvement, and I really enjoyed. I bought a house a few years before that, and I really enjoyed the process, and I learned a lot throughout that process. And it made me realize how much easier it is than people realize. But I've always been a numbers guy, and I enjoy that side of it and helping people build wealth. And so it all just kind of made sense, and I love what I do.
Yeah, for sure. Y'all two together makes an awesome team. And we talk about mortgage teams, right? So what sets y'all apart from other mortgage process or, affordability with other teams in the mortgage industry?
I think there's a couple things here. First and foremost, like when we partnered up, before we ever set a single goal, put a single number on paper, we really sat down and decided who do we want to be as a team and as a business, and what are our values? And we led with that. That was what was really important to us, was to work with people who have the same values as us and always be working for our clients. And so I think when you lead with that kind of mentality, the numbers follow. And ultimately, that makes your process different. Once we had established that, really for us, it was about making sure we were with the right company and having all the right programs to meet both our business partner and our clients' needs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's awesome. And let's get back to what you just said, the program and the needs of the buyers. So I've been hearing about this huge program y'all coming out with in 2025, buy before you sell program. Daniel, can you talk a little bit about, this program and how it will benefit most for buyers in this market?
Yeah, so it's really designed for those that have a home that they currently own. Maybe they're wanting to upgrade, maybe they're wanting to downgrade, maybe they just want to move to a different location. Um, and they want to buy a house, but they potentially don't want to sell their house prior to closing. But they're going to need some of that equity, some of those funds that they have in that current home. So this allows you to purchase that new home, non-contingent on the sale of your home, and then open up all those possibilities. So Cameron can kind of drive into the really specific nitty gritty of it, but that's kind of a good overview of it.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
go ahead, Cameron, and explain a little bit more.
I think a couple of the really great features about this are it allows you to, just like Daniel said, buy your new home without having to sell your existing home first. So a lot of stress comes with having to buy and sell at the same time. A lot of people want to be able to find the home they want. Maybe their house is under contract or, on the market or hasn't even gone on the market yet. And they don't have time to get this house sold before they buy the new one. So this gives them both the ability to access the equity. So we give them, we call it an equity unlock. It's essentially a bridge loan. So we give them some equity from the home that hasn't sold yet. But in addition to that, they can qualify for the purchase of the new home without having to count the mortgage payment on the existing home.
Wow.
So Historically, a lot of bridge loans, they would give you the equity, but you still had to qualify using both mortgage payments. This allows you not to have to qualify using the mortgage payment. And the best part about this is once you go under contract, we give you 90 days to sell your existing home. If you don't sell your existing home, then we buy it from you. We buy it for you. We buy it from you for what you owe on it. So your first mortgage and maybe the equity unlock. But we keep it listed on the market with the agent. So Josh, if you're the listing agent, we keep it on the market with you. Then when the home sells, any of the existing equity that was in that home goes back to the home buyer. So they don't lose out on it.
Yeah. Wow. So just to reiterate what you just said, so you're saying if I am a seller, right? I can go ahead and buy the next home that I want. Like I said, if I want to go on the east side, move to the west side, or even go different cities, right? I can go ahead and do that and still have my home listed for 90 days with a potential purchase from you all and still have
Mm-hmm.
it listed. And after it sells, I still get the proceeds from that sale, correct?
Yep.
I mean, what type of program gives you that if you're not working with the Lariscy and Watson Mortgage Team? Again,
Yeah.
let's talk about, I mean, are there specific requirements or qualifications that potential clients should be aware of? I mean, before they, consider this option?
Yeah, there are some specific requirements. First and foremost, it has to be a primary residence. So you have to be departing a primary residence and buying another primary residence. There are some property restrictions. So if you've got mobile home, for instance, isn't eligible. Commercial properties not eligible. I think we can go up to 2 unit, but if it's 3 or 4 unit, that's not eligible. So there are some property restrictions. Um, and then there's some other, credit qualifying restrictions. The
Mhm.
biggest thing that I would say is that if this is a program that you're interested in doing, we want to start the application process first because it takes about 24 hours to find out how much equity you're going to get in that equity unlock program. We don't require an appraisal, but there is an algorithm that we do on the back end. I don't know what the algorithm is, but they're going to look at the area. They're going to look at how much you owe on the home. They're going to look at other comps. They're going to look at what's the average time that homes are sitting on the market. So it's not a flat, well, your home's worth 400,000, we're going to give you 75% of that. They're doing some calculation on the back end.
Mhm.
So we want to know what that calculation is and exactly how much that equity unlock is before you start going and making offers on another home.
Yeah, and that's awesome. That's awesome. And I mean, when we talk about buyers, right? Let's kind of like change the topic a little here with the mortgage process, right? Could a first
Mhm.
home buyer use this, or like what are the advantages would you give a first-time home buyer to make the mortgage process less intimidating?
So it wouldn't necessarily be designed for first-time home buyer because they'd have
Okay.
to already own a property, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So for
Sure.
your
So you got
first-time
to
home
really do
buyer,
it.
um, this is something that could help them potentially in the future, of course,
Okay.
because the biggest thing for a first-time home buyer is get on the stairs. And
Mhm.
so that's a lot of the conversation we're having is you want your dream home and we want to help you get your dream home, but you got to start on that first step. And maybe that first step isn't your dream home, but it's something you can buy. You can build up some equity. And so that when you're ready to move up to that dream home or the next house that helps you get to that dream home, that, these programs will be available to you, and things like that. So that's really the biggest thing with your first time home buyers is just getting them to pull the trigger, fill out an application. Let's have a conversation about it. Let's look at what the options are. Um, and again, that was something that drove me into mortgage was I sat around for years saying I can't buy a house. I don't have 20% down, which is one of the biggest myths out there. I don't think my credit's good enough. And the whole time I probably could have bought a house 10, 15 years earlier than my first home that I purchased.
For
And
sure.
so, we're Cameron and I try not to be scary, let's look at an application. Let's talk about it. It's just a conversation. There's nothing scary about it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the win is using that Like you said, the first time homebuyer, you're a buyer for the first time. So you can't use the program until you're a current homeowner. But when you do be able to use, your asset to pay for your next asset, the key advantage to this, everyone, I think they really want to iterate is using your equity. Are you using your equity to, go on vacation? Or are you using your money and putting it to work to benefit you? And I think that is where the key component is here as we start the year of 2025. And what are some misconceptions about securing a mortgage that you would like to clear up, if I may ask?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so many of them. Daniel just gave one as an example. The biggest misconception or myth is that you need 20% down. You need to have perfect credit. You need to have a ton of money in the bank. These are all myths. The really great thing that's come out of, the past few years, affordability is difficult, but banks always want to come out on top. And so what that means is that they're continuing to create these affordability programs. So one of the things that I always advise clients is one of the best steps you can take is start the process early. Maybe you think you're not going to buy a home for 6 months or a year, but start the application process because we're going to empower you with the information you need. Because if you think you need 20% down, you've got to have perfect credit. You're not even starting the application process. You're in your own head and you're kicking that can down the road. If you call us, you do an application, who knows? We may look at it and go, you know what? You got a 640 credit score and you've got, only 5% down. But guess what? Right off the bat, I've got two loan programs I can put you in that qualify. And you're going, oh my God, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Or maybe your credit score is a little bit too low. You don't have quite enough money yet. And that's when we're going to do what we call a mortgage action plan. We're going to tell you, here's what you need to do to get your credit up. We may partner you with a credit repair specialist that we work with that's going to help speed that credit process up. We're going to tell you, here's how much money you need to save, or maybe you need to save a little bit of money and then we work with you as the agent to negotiate the seller to pay some of the closing costs and minimize what they need. But when you're done with that application and that conversation, you come out confident knowing I can buy a house. Maybe I can't buy a house today, but I can buy a house in 3 months. I can buy a house in 6 months. So the biggest advice I give any first-time home buyer is start the process early.